Mr. Davis, I am so sorry that you fell, but we're gathered here today to try to figure out why you fell and what we can do to help keep you safe in the future. Let's take this opportunity to kind of learn from this event so we can kind of prevent it in the future. I do have a post-fall huddle guide that will kind of follow to guide us through our conversations today. Feel free to look at it if you'd like so you know what's going on. So first we're going to establish the facts. Was Mr. Davis at risk for falls?
Yes, he was at fall risk. This morning at 8 a.m., he scored a 75 on the Morse. He had a total knee, so his gait was impaired, and he's been using a walker. So he is at high risk for falls, and also he's on some medications that could cause fall risk as well.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Mr. Davis, did you remember that you were at fall risk? We talked about that, right?
Well, I was really feeling, I thought I was feeling pretty good, so it really wasn't a very far distance to the bathroom. I thought I could make it easily. I'm sorry, I just underestimated how wobbly I was.
I wanted to point out that his blood pressure medications were increased this morning, and that could have contributed to his fall risk as well.
What was increased, Linda?
The metoprolol was increased from 25 milligrams a day to 50 milligrams a day after several elevated systolic pressures.
Mr. Davis, did you know that?
No, I wasn't aware that my medication had changed.
Well, it's okay now because at 10 a.m. when your vitals were taken again, your blood pressure was down to 126/74, which is normal for you.
You probably took it in supine, right?
Yes.
Well, then his blood pressure could have gotten lower when he stood up. I just didn't catch that. Something that I can actually help with is get those orthostatic readings because I'm getting the patients up anyway. I didn't catch that in the chart that his blood pressure medication had changed.
Okay, so that would explain why I got lightheaded and dizzy?
Yes, metoprolol and other blood pressure medications can decrease your blood pressure when you stand up, and this increases your risk of dizziness and therefore can contribute to your fall risk as well. It's important when you get up to make sure that you get up slowly and rest in a sitting position before you stand fully. And when you're ready to stand, you want to make sure that you have something to grab onto.
Okay, good to know.
Well, and also you're on hydrocodone, which could also make you feel a little dizzy.
Okay, so far we've established that Mr. Davis did not know that he was at risk for falls, that he got up without calling, and that medications could have contributed to the fall. What else could have?
Well, I thought it would be good for Mr. Davis to stay sitting up in the chair at the end of therapy because I wanted him to work on his knee range of motion. I kind of assumed Kristen would be around in the next half hour or so, but I didn't talk to anybody before I left.
Well, Kristen, what do you think? You haven't really said much yet.
Well, the last time that I assisted him to the bathroom was 11 a.m. Before lunch, and then he had PT, and I just got busy, and I didn't get back around, and he fell at 2:30, so it had been 3.5 hours since he'd been to the bathroom. So, Mr. Davis, it's not your fault, it's mine.
I should have called when I had to go to the bathroom. I didn't realize I was going to be dizzy and weak and that it would be such a problem.
Well, maybe we should talk a little more about the handoffs. It would have been helpful if you would have been able to let the CNA or one of the staff nurses know when you were finished with your session and leaving the unit. Do you think that would be possible?
Well, one thing I could plan on doing is shortly before the end of therapy, I could ask patients if they need to use the bathroom. We need to work on transfers and mobility in the bathroom anyway. Then if they need to use the bathroom, I could assist them in there, make sure the call light's on, and then wait for the CNA to come so that we have a proper handoff.
That would be great.
So that's one way we could have prevented the fall. Are there any other things we could have done?
I think letting patients know when their blood pressure medication has been increased so that they can be a little more cautious and aware of the potential side effects.
Mr. Davis, is there anything you could think of we could have done to help prevent this fall?
I was told that I might fall. I thought it was all about my knee. I didn't realize all the other hazards that might make me weak and dizzy.
Now, is there anything else we could do to change his plan of care to help keep him safe?
Well, what about that increased dose of his blood pressure meds?
In an older patient or a patient who's at risk for falls, it's best to treat the standing blood pressure instead of the supine or the sitting blood pressure. If you treat the lowest blood pressure, which is generally the standing pressure, you'll be at less risk for orthostasis and falls.
Okay, so whenever possible, we should take standing blood pressures?
Absolutely.
Yes, we usually recommend taking it immediately in standing and then after about 3 minutes. Anytime you need those standing pressures, just let PT know because we're getting patients up anyway and we can help you get those.
Thank you. So let's clear up the communication about the changes in medications, though. How should we be communicating this with the physician? Because ultimately, they're the ones to make the decisions about medication dosages.
I can have that conversation with the medical staff when I round with them in the morning.
Are there any problems or concerns that we've discussed that we might need to take back to other departments or units?
Well, I'll let everybody in my department know that especially when we have those changes in medications, that nursing might be asking us to help get some standing blood pressures.
I can talk to the pharmacist about verifying that blood pressure medication changes are made based on standing blood pressures, especially in the older adults or those who are at increased fall risk.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I'll let my staff know is that we should ask patients if they need to use the restroom before the end of therapy. And then if they do, make sure the call light's on and that we do a proper handoff before leaving the room.
I need to make sure that I ask for what I need when I need something. With all my medications and all the other hazards that that I'm now aware of, I probably, this probably wouldn't have happened if I would have asked for help.
Is there anything else anyone would like to contribute?
I see the letters ABC on your guide.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
Yes, the ABCs help us show if the patient's at severe risk for injury with their falling. A stands for age. Mr. Davis, are you 85 years or older?
No, I'm 77.
And B is for bones. Do you have any osteoporosis?
Not that I'm aware of.
Alrighty. And C would be coagulation. Does he have any coagulation issues?
Yes, he's on Coumadin because he's post-op.
Well, given these facts, Mr. Davis's risk of injury was elevated, so it's even more important that we develop a strong plan of care to help keep him safe in the future. To summarize what we've established so far that contributed to this fall, your blood pressure medications were changed based on a supine level versus an orthostatic blood pressures, that you were not aware of that and we did not communicate it well to other departments, that your pain medication could have caused you to be lightheaded and dizzy and have you fall when you get up, that you were not fully aware of all the things that made you at high risk for falls, that Kristen was unable to get in here to do her rounding because she got busy doing other things, that you got up without calling for assistance after sitting in the chair for quite a long time, and there was a lack of handoff from physical therapy to the other departments. Did I miss anything?
Nope.
I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you all very much for attending this huddle. I think we've learned a lot today to help keep you safe and other patients safe from falls in the future.
Yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome.